Chapter 285. This land is truly wondrous, with sparkling dots of spiritual energy everywhere, like a fairyland scene. The divine tree looked around and realized one thing: at night, the spiritual energy became more concentrated. From the mouth of this centaur girl, the divine tree also learned a lot about the new world. As expected, elves do exist here. They are creatures with a perfect system and heritage. Additionally, there are also dwarves, which reminded the divine tree of the Warcraft game it once played. The strongest race here is the dragons, with hundreds of different subspecies, but there are three most powerful dragons considered the three kings of this species. The divine tree fell into contemplation, greed stirring up, imagining how much this mighty race could contribute if conquered. Fortunately, only 3 of them were considered particularly difficult. Wouldn't this surely be the strongest legion the divine tree had ever commanded? However, there was one thing that surprised the divine tree: the resurgence of spiritual energy in this world occurred 10 years before it did on Earth. And another thing that made the divine tree a bit worried: there truly exists a creature similar to the divine tree here. Well, it doesn't seem very proper, does it? Its name is the Ancient Tree of Life. The highlight that everyone could see was the upgraded Eye of Heaven, clearly not an easy foe. The centaur girl then said that she had recounted everything to the divine tree, and now she would leave. The divine tree then asked, "Where will you go?" The girl, her face full of rage, answered through gritted teeth, "To take revenge." The divine tree was not surprised. If there was enmity, it must be avenged. It's a normal need. Seizing the opportunity, the divine tree also offered to give her some help, considering it as a return for the information she had shared earlier. Upon hearing this, the girl immediately turned and walked away, even throwing back a comment that a mere second-order transcendent like the divine tree wouldn't be able to help. Better to keep its life safe. Damn it, the divine tree broke out in a sweat of self-esteem, as it had been a long time since anyone dared to look down on the ruler of Earth like that. Suddenly, there was a commotion behind the girl. Many roots shot up with sharp tips like spearheads. The girl had sensed a strong force. Instinctively, she turned back and shouted, only to be met with a burst of pale purple spiritual energy that was extremely overwhelming. The divine tree's spiritual energy was rapidly increasing at an alarming speed, leaving the centaur girl dumbfounded. "Impossible!" she exclaimed. At this moment, the divine tree had leaped to the peak of the second-order transcendent. Terrified, the girl could only hurriedly ask the divine tree, "What is that? What happened?" Not only had the level changed, but the body of the divine tree had also grown massive, with 9 roots exuding spiritual energy all around. The divine tree declared itself to be the living entity representing Earth, the divine tree of Misty Mountain. Sweet words were whispered directly into the girl's ears. "Sign a blood contract with me, and I shall grant you more power." Damn it, the girl was stunned. This was the first time she felt such an overwhelmingly boundless source of spiritual energy. In a beautiful village, seemingly of dwarven architecture, fire was raging everywhere. At that moment, the corpses had been burned clean of flesh, leaving only charred bones amidst the smoke and flames. Suddenly, a bull's hoof stomped on the ground. The figure was a humanoid with a grotesque face, seemingly enjoying the battle. It seemed to be of the same race as the previous girl, but it clearly resembled a demon. Accompanying him was a pack of fierce wolves, growling and awaiting orders. Suddenly, one of the wolves sensed something. A pale purple spiritual energy shot tore through space, rushing toward them at high speed. These humanoids hadn't even realized the danger yet, instinctively turning toward the light. Immediately, the shot pierced through and destroyed the house behind them. A wolf was taken out of the fight with a spiritual energy arrow from a long distance. Then, from the sky descended a massive black claw, exuding a pungent evil aura. All were shocked and frozen. A deafening bang echoed, followed by a large shockwave on the ground, killing all the fierce humanoids and wolves with just one strike. The divine tree quietly observed the dispatched enemies. It noticed that the spiritual energy of these half-human druids was somewhat peculiar, completely different from the previous girl. Suddenly, 2 blue spiritual energy arrows shot toward the divine tree. With silver hair, long ears, and a bow in hand, there was no doubt they were dark elves. Yet right after shooting the arrows, a green spear shot from behind their heads. The unfortunate dark elf had his head severed in an instant. Damn it, the speed of his exit from this world was so fast that his companion hadn't even had time to feel fear. And the attacker was none other than the centaur girl, still holding another spiritual spear, her face as cold as ice. This was the deadly Panis technique. The other one screamed when he saw her. "How dare you show up!" But before he could finish his sentence, the divine tree slammed him hard against a tree, blood splattering. His throat was full of blood, and he could only cough up more, his eyes turning white. Imagine a truck hitting you at 120 kilometers per hour. In the end, he realized that the woman had found reinforcements. At that moment, the remaining centaurs were charging in, and the divine tree saw them. As they charged, they wondered aloud if this was the divine tree of their world. So, this attack was carried out by druids and dark elves. It didn't matter, the divine tree just needed to kill them all. With that, the roots sprang into action, quickly seizing the enemies and crushing them like a python, turning the foes, from druids to mutated wolves, into pulp in an instant. The girl took advantage of the chaos to deal with the remaining wolves using her greenish-blue spear. Now, the spear turned into a blade, and amidst the chaos, she slashed left and right across the battlefield. Those further away were mercilessly headshot by the divine tree. Strangely, even while being brutally suppressed, these druids kept charging like wild beasts. Seeing this, the divine tree told the girl to stop. Was she so bloodthirsty that she was taking on 3 at once? Fresh blood splattered in the air again. The girl's face had turned as dark as a demon's. She could no longer stop. End of chapter 285.